on the show.
Maybe not best guess, but best beer.
I don't know. Best guess. You might take it as well. Again, the war wages on.
It's all up to the listeners.
So we are in...
Download.
69.
Welcome back to the Jojitorium. Well, I think remember too, whenever we found the German Scheiser corn. Let's not lie to each other. You're in twerk classes over there. That's
Yeah. That's all it is.
The fitness class.
Working on them TikTok videos you like so much.
Dead face.
Got right in front of you.
Welcome back to the Jojitorium. You know who it is. It's Adam. It's Matt. We're decaying with the boys. And happy Father's Day to Vince McMahon. The dirt sheets of the craft beer scene, breweries in PA bring you the best news in the PA brewery scene. With updates on the best upcoming breweries, incredible festivals, and interviews with the likes of Chris O'Keefe, Ben Yeagle, and Albert Kaminsky, and so many more. Get with the best beer community in PA by giving Breweries in PA on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter a follow by checking out @Breweries in PA. Just make sure that you tell them that the boys sent you. So, Adam, we are back in the Jojitorium. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy, too, I brought guests.
You did.
I did.
2 weeks in a row, Matt. You're doing good.
I'm hitting on all cylinders, and these guests are fabulous. So we want to get right into it. The sensational tag team duo of home brewing greatness, Katrina and Mike of 5th Season Brewing.
Oh,
Hi,
thanks.
guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us out here.
Oh, I'm so happy you guys came on. I have been so lucky that you guys keep giving beer to Adam so I can try them. So I'm just excited to have you guys here. But I do want to remind the both of you, the war wages on. Okay? Anytime we get a guest on here, you are going up against the likes of Mike Moore, the Pittsburgh beer douche, Justin Goodfellow, head brewer of Yellow Bridge, Hello Brutiful, and even the dastardly David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier series.
And as of this week, Ben Steffen twice.
Yeah, and Stefan twice.
Got some big shoes to fill.
You do. Not so much Phil. Vanquish.
There's two of us. Better the chances.
Absolutely. So, for those who are just joining us for the first time, all of our guests are pitted against each other, and the best guest with the highest download rate is going to win the title at our end of the year celebration when we toss out the Maddie Awards. That's what Adam liked to call it.
Yeah, it's going to be the worst award show ever.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I'm excited to have you guys on. Let's see if you can kick the shit out of the Pittsburgh beer douche.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, given our episode number, we should have a lot of downloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, what episode are we on?
69, baby.
69.
Sexiest episode there is.
So sexy.
That's overrated position.
So before we get into anything, 5th Season Brewing, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your stuff?
So we can you can find us on Instagram. That's our biggest prevalence. We also do have a Facebook. There's just started. There's not much on there yet, but our big thing is our 5th Season at Instagram. It is 5th 5th Season.
Yes, because if you type in 5th Season, you're taken to a farm that makes other stuff.
Yeah, we
not beer.
made that mistake early on when we came up with a name. It's kind of one of those things that's like, well, we should have probably thought about it ahead of time about the 5 and the FIVE.
Yeah, so again, 5th Season Brewing on Instagram and on Facebook, so you can check out the incredible brews that are coming out of this duo. So we are in round 1. It is my understanding that 5th Season, y'all brought some beers. Put that all together. Call it round 1 beers. What do we got?
All right, so we just brewed up a basically Mexican lager with, and we used Oaxacan green corn from Sugar Creek Malt. That's out in Indiana, so it's craft malt. Spent way too much on corn, and we're gonna crack this open. Serve this with a couple of limes.
Awesome.
So there we go.
That makes a nice noise.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you haven't seen these cool cans they have
No.
yet, huh?
Yep.
I brought you bottles from them.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Check those out.
Pour these guys out for you.
Fill it on anything.
So the cans are I don't know if anybody drank the gigantic monsters back in their college days, but it's a similar twist off to that. So it's a nice sealed cap.
Yeah, it's it definitely reminds me of my times getting lost in the summer heat on a skateboard. For
And then
sure.
when they're empty, you can fill them with tear gas.
Yeah, you can bring them to all the riots.
Yeah, so these are twisty cans. They're out of Colorado, but I think Crowler Nation sells them now.
Cool.
So they're I know they've been pretty good with us. We don't have a canner or anything like that. So this is kind of how we kind of distribute the beer out to whoever
It's like a nice
wants it.
workaround. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you see major breweries like I know Spoonwood, Mondays. They use twisty cans as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I see the QR code on the side here.
Brings you to our Instagram.
So what I'm going to do is right here on the camera, and it'll be blown up right here with the QR code will go across the screen, and people can actually take a quick shot of that on the YouTube and go right to you guys.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I've been,
guys,
I've been
around those
developing a
lines.
website for Bash Brew for about 2 years now, and it still hasn't launched. And so their website's really nice.
You're on your way.
Yeah,
You're on your way.
Yeah,
I bought a domain name, so I'm just wasting money on it.
We haven't even done that yet. We probably should get on that.
Yeah, no website for us. Just the Insta.
Oh, so that takes you to the Instagram. Okay.
Instagram.
Yeah,
yeah.
it just goes right to the Instagram.
So I actually haven't tried this yet.
Oh yeah,
yeah?
that's right. This is Katrina's first
wow.
Baja-bound Mexican lager.
This is really good. I like Mexican lagers a lot. I'm going to let you talk about it here in 1 second, but I just got to say, this is easily taken over my top Mexican lager. It's super smooth. The lime plays so well. Nice and clean. You guys outdid yourselves with this one.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yep.
Yeah, that finish is really nice.
Yeah, super clean.
Everything you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great finish on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just a crusher.
yeah, man. And you said, and what'd you say you the main in this was?
So it's basically 2-row pale malt and
Okay.
Oaxacan green corn.
Nice.
From Sugar Creek Malt. They're out in Indiana, so they're a craft maltster. They do some great stuff. I've used them a couple times now. Not cheap, not gonna lie, but yeah, definitely worth the product. Green corn adds like a little bit of that earthiness. It's a little different than
Yeah.
the regular yellow corn you throw in normally.
Yeah, I was going to
So-
say it's not as sweet as
Yeah.
like some traditional
Yeah.
corn.
I'm really-
like
I'm really
a cream
enjoying
ale
it.
or a Mexican lager.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the major difference here when you get like a crispy lager in comparison to this is you're gonna get more of the clean finish.
Yeah, it almost comes off more German.
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, this is what is it? We used Imperial Urkel in this one.
Nice.
So,
Nice, man.
yeah.
I think I'm going to learn a lot today.
Yeah.
Lots of words I have not heard before.
Geek out on homebrewing.
Oh, it's one, and that's why I love interviewing homebrewers because you guys get to be super experimental, and I honestly believe that some of the bigger breweries take notes from you guys because you guys are testing things out that they wish they could do, but here you guys are slamming it.
Yeah, you don't have that. When you're on the brewery scene and you got your brewery and you got your budget to think about and you can't really take those risks. And when you're just brewing a 5-gallon batch at home, if it's terrible, you just dump it. Your investment in time and money and capital is not really that much. You're allowed to be a little more experimental, in your process. So,
Yeah.
and we've definitely done that.
Yeah, and it's definitely a two-way street because
Oh,
at
yeah.
least I go in there and ask the big brewers,
Yeah.
the pro brewers, some questions too. Our questions are on the more creative. Like a lot of questions I'm throwing to them are like
Oh yeah.
systematic questions or science questions, and then they throw us the experimental questions. So
I
it's
always,
fun.
Yeah.
I usually get asked by Big Bro about adjuncts. They're always so impressed by our adjuncts, and
Yeah.
again, because of profitability, we get to play a whole lot more than they do.
Right.
Or
right.
use a whole lot more,
Yeah.
in something where a bigger brewery just gets stuck because it's like we can't spend that much. We can't spend that much on coffee. Are you nuts?
Exactly.
But you should. It's so delicious. So I need to get to know you guys more. So while we sip on this wonderful Mexican lager, I have to know you guys have some incredible accomplishments between the two of you, and we're going to get back to that. But I got to know, craft beer isn't something that you just happen upon. It's something that you have a moment or a beer or something. So what was it for each of you that got you into craft beer?
Mine's shorter story. I'll probably go first. I actually was not a beer drinker at all. I was, that typical college air,
Yeah.
beer gross. Ugh. And then I met Mike. Gross. I met Mike, and
Thank
he's
you.
like, you haven't had good beer. We were working together. We went to happy hour, and he's like, you should try like a porter. You should try a stout. And I drank it for the first time, and I was like, this doesn't taste like piss.
Yeah.
So that was my first beer kind of experience that was really enjoyable. And then he was having a party, and he was doing his homebrew thing, and went over to his party and was drinking from his tap. And I was like, again, very surprised that like beer doesn't have to taste bad. And that was
Right.
kind of my entry level to craft beer. From there, I was trying to get as much of it as I could. And then going into the home brewing thing, so I obviously knew Mike for a while. And then sort of, I guess, there was a point where it was my 30th birthday, and I was like, hey, can you guys, it was him and another guy brewing for a while, and I said, do you guys want to brew a beer for my 30th birthday? And they're like, no, you're going to come over and brew it with us. And I said, awesome, I'd love to do that. So I guess that was my official first brew, but years later, it came down to, I was a COVID brewer.
Okay.
So COVID happened, and sitting around looking at each other, and I said, I could do that.
Yeah.
So I basically learned under Mike how to do everything. So my first official brew was 2020, March of 2020. So yeah.
Awesome. And you've had the itch ever since.
And I didn't stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Wonderful. Mike?
I've been into craft beer for probably a long time. I'm probably one of the only people who spent their 21st birthday at like a craft beer bar doing like flights,
Yep.
you know, and
That's
that's
awesome.
years ago in New York City. I don't even think the bar exists anymore, but I've always been kind of a foodie, so I've always been open to kind of trying and looking for something different. So I guess we kind of really started out at, a group of friends, college age, and, we throw parties at the house playing beer pong, and, you're going to go out and buy the cheap stuff for everybody else to drink.
Of course.
But every, party we threw or every time we were hanging out, we'd always pick up something special, something different for us, just to kind of have that, that beer in hand while you're doing other stuff. So it was always that, and, being from, originally from New Jersey, and we're talking, I'm dating myself, 15, 20 years ago at this point. The craft beer scene wasn't that big, so we were getting Brooklyn Lager, Sierra Nevada, then Dogfish started showing up. So it would be something, whatever we could find. I guess those big regional breweries now was the craft beer scene back then. And then, as the smaller breweries open up, you just get deeper and deeper into it. And that's pretty much the story. I spent some time in Colorado in 2010 into 11, and then spending that time out there, the craft beer scene out there was like light years ahead of what New Jersey was at the time. So then that year out there, going to all the different breweries around Colorado, going out to New Belgium and all those breweries out there, and then you come back for the love for it.
Yeah.
And that really kicked off the home brewing thing.
Yeah.
So
with all that experience going out and seeing some of the early brew meccas of America, you guys started making your progress with that information in homebrewing. So together, what was the first successful beer you made together?
Oh, together. Okay. That must have been probably during COVID, right? We were brewing. So the whole idea of fifth season is kind of, I guess our mission statement is to kind of brew those, lagers and ales that are seasonal, that are very approachable to everybody else. So I guess it had to be right around that March time frame, right? That brewing up Irish Stout.
Yeah, so I think with, Mike said, he's been brewing for 10 years, so a lot of his recipes have already been established. So I think successfully together probably was one of his older recipes that, he entrusted in allowing me to take a bigger part in. When I first started, obviously, I was more of like the cellar bitch.
I'm still the cellar bitch. It's totally fine.
It's much needed.
For life.
Life, baby. They called me a cellarman before. It felt really good, and then they told me why I wasn't really a cellarman.
Shit's got to get clean.
It does.
It's not going to clean itself.
Cellar bitches for life.
Cellar bitches.
Yeah.
So during that process, he was very big on like making sure that I knew why I was doing everything.
Right.
So he would entrust me in some of his better recipes. So I guess our first successful recipe probably the Irish Stout, which would have been March, or probably more towards the fall when we started doing like the Oktoberfests.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So then, talking about your duties in the brew space. So let's just say it's a typical brew day for you guys. Let's start with you, Katrina. What are your main responsibilities on a brew day?
So I think it depends on whose recipe it is or
Okay.
whose like baby it is. If it's something that one of us is more ambitious or more driven for, if it's like my idea, I'll take the forefront. I'm the one who's starting the mash, taking out the water chemistry. Like it's my brew day and he's kind of there to help. Or it's flipped, where if it's his kind of thing, it's his baby, I'll be there more of as the assistant. So it kind of depends from beer to beer.
Okay. Cool.
Otherwise, it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah, we
Nice.
brew on our own sometimes too.
Oh, that's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. We don't always brew together. Sometimes, shit's got to get done. So,
Right.
you got to get whoever's around at that day. Hey, you're brewing this. Here's the notes. Go do it.
That's got to be pretty cool, though, to know that you have a partner that you can trust no matter what. Like, hey, here's my recipe. You know we got to do this. Let's knock it out. I got to go to work.
It's terrifying because I'm not there. Yeah.
I can already feel the heat coming
Yeah.
off of Adam thinking
it's-
about,
leaving you. I trust my wife.
The
I'm just like,
anxiety.
"Oh, you're doing it."
No, I set myself on fire once.
Oh my God, you too?
Yeah.
I did that. I did that one time.
Yeah, Adam was trying to get me acclimated to do more stuff, and I cranked up the gas.
Yeah, he lit my banjo burner like it was a gas grill.
Yeah,
I was like,
and I
dude.
just lost all the hair on my arm.
I leaned over an old stove once and caught my shirt on fire. That's my
So I'm
my
not
horror
alone.
story. No.
Ah.
If you haven't lit yourself on fire, you're not
Yeah.
doing it right.
You're not brewing.
You're not brewing.
I can
Fire
say I've
marshal.
never lit myself
Yeah.
on fire.
Well,
Fire Marshal Bill coming through here.
I melted my hand once, so I guess I'm in that club too. Yeah.
I've definitely electrocuted my finger on the pump before. Like,
Oh yeah, that's fun. That's just
yeah.
coffee.
It's like,
Yeah.
ooh.
That just gets you going again. So the artwork on your cans are always really cool, and it tells the story of the beer itself. Who is responsible for the artwork of your cans and bottles?
That's Mike. Mike is the one who with the creative designs, and he does all of that. So you can talk about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I guess going back a long time, you drink with your eyes, right? That's always been kind of a philosophy behind a lot of my brewing or our brewing now, and it starts with the kind of can art. Now I'm not putting it together. I have no background in any kind of label production or graphic design or anything like that. So it's actually kind of funny if I go down the rabbit hole of making these. I basically steal free art off the internet and then piece it together using free programs and like Microsoft Paint and Microsoft Word to throw together these cans because I have never bought a graphic design program, and so I scour the internet until I find something that like pops, and then I basically use the freest programs possible to kind of piece them together and put together something that tells a story.
It's like that paint program it used as like a kid.
Yeah, Paint.net and then Microsoft Paint and Microsoft Word, and that's about it.
I am even more impressed when people can do that, because it takes a certain kind of mind to say, okay, I build it here, and I don't have to take it here to fine tune it to get to where I need it to be. So some might look at it and be like, that's a hodgepodge way of doing it. I'm looking at that going, hey, that takes as much skill, if not more, than if you just had like an iPad Pro and you were drawing it out yourself.
Everyone that has art on the internet right now is going to put watermarks on them right now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
You better.
what's the next beer he's brewing? He's going to be hunting down something stupid.
I'm gonna tell you right now, internet. I'm coming out there and I'm stealing shit for the next DWTB. I'm gonna steal it. Watermark it.
And for the labels themselves, we found a real nice trick. So originally we were like buying labels through, like he would upload the design into like a sticker program and buy the stickers, and they are incredibly
Too
expensive.
Yeah.
So tip to all those homebrewers, Staples.
Staples.
We bring them down to Staples. We buy some Avery waterproof shipping labels.
Oh,
bring them
cool.
down to Staples. They'll print them. So like this label costs about 5 cents.
Wow. Pro
Yep.
tip.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Print from Staples.
Yeah.
There you go, homebrewers. Pro tip. You want to look for, I mean, these look, I would get this at, look at that. That's,
I didn't get a good look at it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I would get that off the shelf at the beverage shop I go to, for sure.
It's fun when we bring them somewhere and I'll put it down and they're like, oh, where's this from? I'm like, oh, it's mine. And they're like, holy.
Yeah.
I don't say shit.
Right.
Like,
You can say whatever the hell you want on this podcast.
yeah. So like it feels good when somebody sees it and they don't realize it's a homebrew.
Yeah. So that wants me to get a little nerdy with you guys. So equipment is the thing that homebrewers and even podcasters, we live and die by it. So right now, how big is your current output? If you had a single brew day, how much are you guys putting out in a single brew?
We do a 5-gallon anvil system.
Okay.
So 5 gallons at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we do some. We have another pot. We have an anvil pot that we do some stove batches. So we can. So on those stove batches, we can do like 2.5 gallons.
Oh,
so we switch it back and forth. A lot of the experimental stuff or stuff that might turn out terrible, I'll run through the 2.5 gallon batch first and see how it comes out. It's an easy way to play with adjuncts and things like that without committing to a full 5 gallons.
Nice.
So. And then we've been cranking out recently some kind of, I guess you would call them like short and shoddy batches to steal some brewosophy terms on the stovetop. We're just doing like a 30-minute mash, 30-minute boil, throwing stuff together, real quick brew day. And it's really easy on the stove, getting the temperature up and getting the boil done and that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. That's great. So I'm hearing Anvil is like your go-to company.
Yep.
Is that what you've seen a lot of success from that?
Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, we've had some decent success with the Anvil stuff. I mean, it's not, for the price point, it's decent stuff. You're getting stainless steel stuff. You're getting equipment that works. Is it the top of the line stuff? Absolutely not. But does it make great beer? I think so.
Clearly it does. I mean, like, again, go back to this Mexican lager. It hits. It's really good. So in your current setup, what's the one piece of equipment that you simply cannot brew without?
So it sounds tacky, but like the anvil system. So like obviously you can't brew beer without your system, but like I've only ever brewed on the all-in-one systems.
Okay.
I've never done a 3-vessel system, and I don't think I would ever enjoy it. The ease of having everything in one spot. It's electric. You plug it in. There's no flames. There's a dial, and it's just easy. And you mash in the same one. You boil in the same one, and you could ferment in the same one. We don't, but I could not brew it any other way.
Yeah, we kettle sour in it. That's close
you
enough.
Kettle sour
right?
in it.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
For me, I guess it's probably the chest freezer. It's all about temperature control and being able to just crash something out and letting it ride at a cold temperature. So
I see
I
why
love that
Adam
chest
likes
freezer.
you so much.
Yeah.
That's that's the internal battle I always have to hear about.
Is me bitching about my temperature.
Temperature. Everything is temperature. Everything.
Everything is. Well, it's just there's a hot side and a cold side to the brewery.
Yeah.
Like they each take their functions. I love a brew day. It's very relaxing to me. But fermentation's my favorite part to play with. Like I love the science behind it and what the temperature does.
When you see that yeast starting to ferment, I'm getting some bubbles. We had some bubbles today. We got some beers fermenting.
Oh yeah, it's he likes to take videos
and send them to you, and then you're a child.
Look at this. Yeah, I'm not nice. I'm nicer. I'm not that nice.
I made this.
Send them our way. We'll geek out with your bubbles.
So if you guys right now could throw any amount of money at anything to get a piece of equipment you had your eye on, what would it be?
A canner. Yeah, the
Okay.
canner. Yeah, just it's something I always wanted to get into. It's probably going to be a nightmare getting the thing all set up and filling cans the proper way, and it's just going to be another one of those things you have to master.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a canner. They're expensive. Cans are
Yes.
expensive, but honestly, these aren't cheap either. So, but they're functional minus spending the money on the canner itself. So, but definitely the canner.
Yeah. We also just bought a house, and the reason we bought a house, part of the reasons that we were looking for a house is to build a tap room. So,
Oh, cool.
I mean, that would be,
yeah.
you want to give me any sort of money? Like, yeah, that's the first thing I'm going to put it into because it gets real expensive to build those taps up.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's always awesome to hear how homebrewers are thinking of the next big step, especially, and you guys are both on that same level. Like you're thinking of a tap room, and you're thinking of cans, you're thinking distribution, you're thinking in-house sales. It's so cool to hear that, and I hope that that's in the very near future for you too. Because again, your beer, I've had I think 3 different kinds of beer from you, now 3. And each one has been a knockout.
Thank
so
you.
Nice, yeah, thanks.
More people need it, and I think if you guys can accomplish one of these 2 goals in the near future, it's going to benefit craft
Yeah, I think
beer.
we finally brought you something that's not a sour, which it's like, oh god, we got to bring
fine.
something that's not a sour.
You
They're
can
going to think
bring
that's
me-
all we could do.
You can bring this thick daddy all the sours you want, and I will chug them. I love them. So, is there anything that you see brewers out there using equipment-wise that you think is just completely fucking overrated?
Stuff that, I would still love to spend the money on it, but all kind of the SS Brewtech and all those high-end fermenters. I mean, they're great, they're easy, but you don't. I think you could brew great beer at a lesser price point. Hence, what we're doing right now. So I see people buying. I think they spend a lot of money on more aesthetics because they look like actual fermentation. Yeah, they're pretty, they're shiny, and they look like actual fermentation vessels that are in a big brew house. But on the homebrew level, you're not dealing with that kind of scale, so you don't necessarily need that full conical fermenter that has all the bells and whistles and the tri-clamps and all that kind of stuff. You don't need it. So,
and I think when you have somebody who's maybe even thinking about going into homebrewing for the first time, and they see some of these guys who've been invested, and they don't realize that they spent 10 years investing into these products, or maybe they just have expendable income, and like homebrewers out there, anybody interested, you need a pot on a stove.
Pro tip number 2.
Yeah.
You need a pot on a stove if you just want to start dabbling and figuring it out. You don't need this crazy expensive equipment.
Yeah. And you can ferment in a plastic bucket.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it makes some amazing beer. Yeah. And honestly, smaller batches are just easier to manage. Yeah. It's just easier to manage something on the stove that you're working with your hands. It's like a pot of salt, like grandma with her pot of sauce. Easy to manage on the stove, and it's easier to manage the temperature. It's easier to manage the fermentation. It's easier to manage every aspect of that small amount of beer, and you're gonna make a better beer in the long run. So it's easier to start small and work your way up.
We met that girl, and again, more ladies in homebrew, please. We met this female
lady.
This woman.
She had just started, and she was doing 1-gallon batches on the stove, and it was yielding anywhere between 6 and 9 bottles. So like a very small system.
That's one bad night.
Pretty much.
So, the vessels that you guys work out of, you have taken home some really awesome accolades. I'm going to run through them here, and you can add on or tell me I'm wrong. Golden Wheat and Silver and Sour of the Scuba Homebrew of 2020. First place for Drown the Shamrock. Third place for Lucky Season at the Garden Homebrew Competition. Bronze at the New Jersey State Fair Homebrew Competition 2021. First place in the Bolero Brewing Homebrew Competition 2021. And first in Euro Sours, and second best of show in the Trash Competition that just happened here in 2022.
I gave you that last one.
Did I miss any?
All the failures. Everything that didn't win a medal you missed, which would be a way longer list than that. So that's what I always tell like a homebrewer starting out. It's like, don't get discouraged. You got to just keep chugging along and pumping things out and getting the feedback and making tweaks to your recipes. So it took a long time to get to that point to start winning medals.
Yeah.
Definitely took a long time to get to that point. But we didn't really start competing until about 2020. Prior to that, actually, about 2019, 2020. Even though I was brewing all the way back in 2010, 2011, I felt like I made a change there at some point, and it was probably my competitive instinct kicking in, or my competitiveness kicking in. So prior to that, I kind of felt like I was kind of a chef, and I was brewing with a buddy of mine back in New Jersey. A friend from basically like elementary school, and we were brewing together. And he eventually lost interest in it, But yeah, we were kind of like chefs, just kind of throwing something together on the stove, winging it. I think her birthday beer one time, what was the story with your birthday beer? We were supposed to put a certain amount of honey in it.
Oh, yeah. So it was supposed to be, 30th birthday, and they called it Basic Bitch. And it was going to be,
the can art's good.
It was a honey blonde, and again, I was going to go over there and help brew it. And I think the original was like half of the container. I don't remember what the actual measurements were, but it was like half a container. But, what the hell? What the whole thing? So we went from like a 5% beer to like an 8% beer.
Yeah. Just that easy.
My birthday's in July. It was like a 90-degree day. It was like, everybody was shit fit.
I'm like, screw it. Just dump the rest of it in there.
We went through 10 gallons of it. Yeah, it was great.
But now, going into competition brewing, then it needs to turn from being this like creative, I could do whatever I want, wing it, to now you're like a scientist, and now everything has to be precise and to the T, and that gets a little old after a while too. So it's like, what kind of brewer do you want to be? And so we like to dabble in both. Good. So there's a bunch of batches that like I'm like like when I do stuff on the stove, I'm like, I don't care, who cares?
And there was a competition, not that we won, but actually my very first brew was a competition beer. It was back at home, and they decided to do like a March Madness bracket style.
Oh, cool.
Because it was 2020, there was no March Madness that year. So they took submissions for beer, and they took, was it 32, 64? What's a bracket?
I think they did
32.
30. They did 32 for
32.
that. I think.
And again, little kudos to me is I was the only female chosen to participate, and I got all the way to the final 8, and I lost against the winner. So in bracket style, it was. So didn't win that one, but still, I like to say like my first brew, I got pretty far. So
Yeah.
Nice. So let's briefly touch on the you had a collab with Bolero that led to the wonderful Where the Watermelons Grow sour. We had it on our podcast a couple episodes ago. Absolute knockout. So if you guys could just real quick touch on how was that collaborative process in comparison to what you guys are doing on the stovetop.
shout out to Stone. Stone was wonderful. Stone is their head brewer there, and he made the whole experience. Everybody at Bolero made
Yeah, they were great.
Great people to work with. They really wanted to take our beer and make it as close to the homebrew process as possible, recipe as possible. And they were all about trying to get as close to the ingredients. They wanted to make sure that we came in and had the greatest experience. They did not try to push us one way or the other way. They let us have what we wanted with can art. It was about us, which is
That's
really
cool.
nice.
Yeah, they did a great job out there, and and well, one thing it's funny on Brew Day, and Adam, you probably know because you've brewed on a couple different systems, but like when you're brewing, so we brewed 30 barrels of this on this like basically $1 million system in this giant facility, like huge. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of boring because all you do is go in and just press a bunch of buttons, and I'm like, man, I would love that. It would be amazing to go in and just press a few buttons, and it pretty much just happens. And that
we
was
actually ran into a little problem too, because since it is such a big system and it was such a light, small grain bill, we actually I forget exactly what the issue was. I wasn't quite understanding because again, big brew and smaller brews, something about it wasn't heavy enough. It was like floating, so it
man.
wasn't. It was like basically getting like stuck mash, and like Stone was like, I don't understand how we're having a stuck mash with such a small mash like. So you never know. Things always. We thought it was going to be a super easy brew, and it ended up.
It's always a hurdle.
Yes.
That's
there's
the
always a problem.
beauty of brewing.
Yeah, and for people in Pittsburgh, so a 30-barrel system would be like, that's really big to do
Yeah,
a homebrew
big,
recipe
yeah.
on. That's like, I think Hitchhiker runs 30 on some of theirs,
Yeah.
mostly 60, and then Full Pint is 60
Yeah.
barrels. So it's half,
Yeah.
it's half of them, and they get distributed all over the city.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And
this
they,
was a-
I
this
think
was
they
a-
normally crank out
90s.
90s,
Okay,
like
so-
for their normal
Jeez,
brews.
so
Like,
they're big.
This
they're
was
real
small
big.
for
oh yeah,
them, yeah.
I think they're the third biggest brewery in New
Yeah.
Jersey,
Yeah.
behind like Cape May and maybe
Kane.
Kane or someone else. I'm not.
By God, it's Kane.
Dude, you son of a bitch.
So we are entering the lightning round. We're going to fire a bunch of questions at you guys. We're just going to try to get them answered as quickly as humanly possible and see what you guys come up with. So Adam's going to go first. I'm going to go second. We're going to keep going until we're out of questions and you're out of brain cells. Are you ready?
Yes.
Sure.
Adam, go first.
What is the best summer beer out right now?
Oh God, that's tough.
It's the year of the lager.
It is the year of the lager. It's the best summer beer. Honestly, we don't get around to drink that much beer right now. We're brewing our own.
This is lightning round.
I know it is. I'm terrible. I always overthink anything. I'll just a Festina Peche. There you
Good
go.
one. Good one.
I don't have anything specific, like I said, just anything lager or cream ale.
Cool.
Okay.
Wonderful.
The Bash Brew Cream Ale.
So,
There
Yes,
you go,
I'll
Bash
take
Brew
that.
Cream Ale.
CWO. You can have beers with any one person, alive or dead.
Oh, I hate this
Who
one.
is it, and what beer would you like to drink with them?
Anthony Bourdain. And we'd be drinking a Chang in Thailand, eating spicy noodles on the street corner.
I'm amazed how quickly that came out.
So what is a Chang?
A Chang is
Oh.
so a Chang is, if you go to Thailand, that's like the beer you're basically going to
It's
drink.
like
no
a
matter where
dollar.
you
It's
go.
amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's just like a easy
It's
drinking.
their
like,
version of Icy Light.
Yeah.
It's like their local.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just a follow up for the listeners.
That's cool.
And for me, because I
didn't know
was
that
guessing
Chang-
that's what it was. But
Yeah.
little easy drinking rice lager. So that's it.
Awesome.
I
Katrina.
don't have an answer. Sorry.
You don't?
Oh.
No.
Well, I'm
I
gonna-
hate questions like that.
I'm going to force you to drink with Vince McMahon. You're going to have aggressive IPAs.
Excellent. Excellent.
Adam.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to do stuff. You take over a brewery and become the owner and head brewer. What do you usurp? What the heck?
Who do you usurp? Who do you take over?
Oh,
Who do you
Yeah,
coup?
who you taking? I didn't know that word, man.
Welcome to my world.
I'm in an 8th grade education.
Yeah. Who you beating up and taking
Yeah.
over?
So yeah, if you could take any brewery over as the owner and head brewer, who are you taking over?
Oh, Dogfish. Of course.
Yeah, that's
It's-
that was going to be my answer, but
Yeah, this is why we get along
It'd be,
so
and
well.
yeah, it'd be the king of awesome off-centered ales. And lagers now.
So you so you guys have your tap room open. Someone comes in and says, I only drink Miller Lite. What beer that you make do you serve that person?
Couch Wolf Cream Ale.
Yeah, Couch Wolf Cream Ale. Our
Nice.
dog's on the label.
I think you could do this Mexican lager.
I was ready to
That's
say,
true
yeah.
too, yeah.
Yeah. Adam,
Just depending on what you have in cans at the time.
Yeah, whatever the light thing is that you're going to
last but not least.
So you have to cancel something in craft beer that's going on right now. What is it?
Lactose.
That was so easy for you guys to
Oh, yeah.
answer. Is it just like the...
It's overdone. I also can taste it. I feel like maybe I'm just crazy.
It's got a twang
It's
to
got
it.
like a weird
Yeah.
twangy to it, and I just don't enjoy it.
Well, it's once you taste it and you can like pick it out,
I
then
taste
you,
it and everything.
you can't not taste it. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I don't want to drink some of them, but just not a whole pint of it.
Adam, what would you cancel if you had to, real quick?
Oh, dude, I didn't know you were going to ask me.
I figured I'd just puzzle you real quick.
Come on, it's supposed to be the lightning round.
I don't like it being flipped back at me. I guess in a similar vein, like gloopy sours. Gloopy fruit puree in a beer.
Oh, like smoothie sours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fuck
I'm not a
those.
fan.
So we are going to move into a break for some ads. We have some wonderful sponsors, and they love us, and we love them because they support us. And when you support them, you support us. And we also have some friends on here, too, and their promos will be in the little break here. So check them out, give them a follow, and we'll see you all on the other side.
The super familiar with the Wilsons podcast. You know that family whose house you hung out in when you were a kid? The house was a little loud and chaotic, but always fun, and sometimes felt more home than home. Well, that's us.
We're the Wilsons, and we welcome you into our podcast with silly chat, ridiculous games, and interviews with interesting people.
Like a spin doctor. The super familiar with the Wilsons podcast.
Welcome home.
Nice ink, Adam.
Yeah, I got your name on my ass.
I was talking about your forearm, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been taking care of it.
Yeah, it looks great, man. What are you using?
I'm using Lucky 13's tattoo cleanser and healing ointment. This ointment is incredibly fresh and invigorating. It effectively removes all surface oils and dirt while not dehydrating your new tattoo.
Dude, I actually got some of Lucky 13's tattoo balm. It's all natural, not oily, and applies easily. The balm improved my color and definition, and the vibrance on this ink makes it look like it's brand new.
Oh yeah, man. I found their products after taking their online quiz and it pointed me in the right direction.
Hey, guess what? And right now, if you use our promo code MATA193529, you can save 25% on your entire order from their site.
From the first line of your tattoo to the first year of your tattoo and beyond, Lucky 13 has you covered to keep that ink looking fresh.
Welcome back. Hopefully you heard something that you like, because again, when you support our sponsors, and you support us, and when you support us, we can do some pretty cool stuff, like bring on 5th season brewing. So it is round 2, and you have procured more delicious beers for us. So it's round 2. You brought more beers, put them together. Call round 2 beers. It's really delayed.
Proud of myself.
Good job. Thanks for coming.
Tired.
You did brew today, so it's...
My hands hurt.
All those jalapenos.
My fingies hurt,
Oh,
as
my
you like to say,
fingies.
Matt.
Yeah, my fingies. So it is round 2. You have beers. What do we got?
So these are some New Jersey beers that we brought. They are from Last Wave. This is the brewery that I used to work for at New Jersey. Again, just tap room, not anything in the back of the house. But they have been around for 5 years. I think they just celebrated their 6th year, actually. They started off like any other brewery, but they kind of fell into like a sour program, and they kind of got known for it.
Cool.
Well, the brewery's in a beach town, so it's kind of
Oh,
a beach
yeah.
resort
Ooh,
kind of
there you
town.
go.
So they
They're
have
all
like
surfers.
all surfer guys, very beach kind of surfy theme.
Nice.
So a really cool spot.
Yeah, so
Cool.
shout out to Nick and Bert. So this is their deep dive. It is a sour saison that is aging in gin barrels.
Oh, this sounds really good.
Let's get ripped.
So what was the name of the brewery again?
Last Wave.
Last Wave. So I'll have to look those
You're
guys
about
up.
to share?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
I have not had this version. There are different versions.
So you said that you were working tap room
Yes.
at this place.
Yes.
You're going to have to go get yourself one for yourself, though, Adam.
What are you talking about?
I'm not splitting this now.
Yeah, well,
So the description on the bottle says mixed culture saison, French saison yeast, lactobacillus, fermented in a gin barrel and conditioned on New Jersey citrus blossoms. Then they did all different ones.
Yeah, they did a bunch of different versions of this, but it's basically a sour saison, which is an awesome.
And I think it was a happy accident. I don't think they originally wanted it to get soured, but I think it did, and then they just kept rolling with it.
oh wow,
Adapt and overcome. Wow.
And then I
What
think
a
they kept pitching on
flavor
this,
bomb.
and I think they keep pitching on the same slurry.
Yeah,
So they just keep doing different additions.
this is a flavor bomb.
This is wonderful.
Every single thing you described is in this beer in different parts of the sip. Wow.
That's really weird.
I love
Yeah.
the like,
In the best way.
It compartmentalizes itself
Yeah.
as your palate takes it in. This
Yeah.
is incredible.
So it starts off like a crispy sour, and then you get into those gin notes in the middle, and then it ends very floral.
Yeah.
With those citrus blossoms, I'm guessing.
you can find them on Instagram and Facebook.
Hell yeah.
No, they did a great job on this beer.
And we're at New Jersey? What town?
Point Pleasant.
Point
so
Pleasant.
it's in Beach Town, not on the boardwalk, a couple blocks off, which is nice, so it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah,
And I worked there. I started in the pandemic, and I worked there until I left last couple months ago.
Cool.
Yeah, they do some great beers out there. I mean, they focus,
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
a lot on West Coast IPAs. That's kind of their
Oh.
thing. You know, a bunch of surfer guys are
There
going
we
to
go.
crank out those West Coast IPAs.
Might have to go to New Jersey,
But
buddy.
yeah, they do some awesome,
Definitely one worth checking out.
awesome lagers too. Right off the beach, you know, you come right off the beach, all salty and sandy, and grab some fish tacos, and then hit
Hell
up
yeah,
the
that's
brewery
sick.
for some beer.
Kids and dog friendly.
Sweet. Well, there
Nice.
you go, Yinzers and everybody else listening to us from across the nation. If you're hitting Point Pleasant, New Jersey for some beach time, pick up some bottles.
Absolutely.
Or cans or whatever else they have.
Or visit the tap room.
And get a fish taco because I'm getting really hungry for fish tacos.
Yeah,
They've come up twice now on this podcast, and I'm dying for
It's
one.
getting to that season.
It certainly is. It is also getting into the time here at this podcast where we have a roundtable discussion. It is not often that I get to have three skilled brewers in front of me. I get to pitch these ideas, questions, and comments to. So I want to see where you guys are when it comes to some of the discussions in 2022 about how craft beer is moving.
Kudos
So-
on your gapper of a segue right there, by the way. That was great.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, 750, Mr. Joshua Bernstein, he went through the idea of climate change having hops and yeast going high tech. So, IPA fans are seeking the next big, heavy tropical flavor, and John Haas has offered several concentrated liquid products, Incognito and Spectrum. New Zealand created Phantasm powder from Sauvignon Blanc grape skins, and there are many other examples of hop farms and yeast growers testing the limits of their imagination to combat the increasing cost and decreasing supply of natural ingredients. So this raises the question of new tech versus old ingredients. Do you feel that advancing tech will have us leaving certain styles of beer behind?
I don't think so. I think there's always going to be a place for traditional styles. There's always going to be people that love I mean, look at the BJCP, which basically, you know, outlines the style guidelines. You're still going to have these competitions. You're still going to have these places and these people that love these traditional styles. And a lot of these the traditional styles, they're linked to cultures around the world, which is part of the reason. You know, I'm a former history teacher. We love to travel. We go, you know, visit places. You're always going to drink the local beer or the local drink wherever you go. That's kind of part of experiencing a place. So I think there's always going to be a place for those. But also in a competitive market, as competitive the craft beer scene is, you're always going to have innovation, move products forward, and somebody try to come up with the next best thing. I mean, just look at hazy IPAs.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think you're going to lose styles. I think their styles can just get better. I know with like the Lupamax, and there's not even there's the concentration. I don't even think there is hops anymore, right? Like it's they're getting better yield, right? They're getting more product out. So I don't know if you're going to lose styles. If not anything, you might even get more styles or better styles.
That's cool.
Or new styles.
Yeah, or completely new.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to lose any styles just because new tech's coming in. I think some just date themselves out. I think Necromancer has shown they can come back.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of those styles, I mean, it was a lot of Depression era styles that they made due to necessity. So, you know, that could all change. And you'll lose styles there, but I don't think it's from new tech. And I've had the Incognito and the Phantasm powder you've brought up, both great, and both just accentuate what IPAs are already doing. So
Yeah, it reduces cost too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about it. The tech albeit expensive to produce these products, is actually reducing the amount that brewers are paying out for those ingredients. And like you said, Katrina, it's giving us a higher yield. So brewers are actually finding themselves with more product, with a sharper taste and new flavor profiles to bring to people who may not have ever had craft beer before. So they might not even know the old styles, which is, again, where Necromancer comes in for us, all of us here, where we want a smoky beer. And then they hit us with it. So I think it's going to cause more diversity, I think, in brews.
Definitely.
And it's going to have some of us, old heads, yearning for yesteryear. And then it's almost like classic Coke. You remember that? Yeah, it's like Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola Classic. I want the classic.
Now you got to go to Mexico for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, like retro so in too, right? So
Yes.
like, why can't retro beers be in?
Well,
right?
that's your marketing, right? Like, so you're gonna, like I said, like you mentioned, Necromancer, right? You're gonna bring back old styles, especially if they go stale, because now you're the only one making them, and that gives you kind of that edge to get people into your tap room. So, like the old styles, it's kind of almost good for breweries when they go away, because then somebody can be like, oh, boom, on it. Oh, what is it? Pre-Prohibition lagers are like all the thing this summer, right? Everybody seems to be cranking those out. We just made one. So like that's one of those styles. I very rarely seen anybody pump those out recently, and now they're everywhere.
Yeah, I guess we could break the news here. Bash Brew is going all brewed IPAs for 2023. So and that is late April Fool's joke.
So we're going to take a look at what's in your beer. So Vani Hari, she's known as the Food Babe. She wrote an article. It's Hidden Ingredients. Is it the Blueprint? So Ms. Hari identified some of the best-selling commercial beers on the market and found that the main ingredients to keep the barrels of beer flowing with a high level of consistency are some things that we aren't used to hearing. Some of our favorites, including Newcastle Brown Ale, has caramel coloring. Corona Extra has GMO corn and glycol. Miller Lite with GMO corn syrup. Michelob Ultra with GMO dextrose, Guinness with high fructose corn syrup and fish bladder, and Budweiser, America's beer, coming in with some GMO rice. So while it's obvious that commercial beer is not hit as hard as craft, it does have the ability to punch out quantity. So with the use of GMO-based ingredients, additives, and other post-production ingredients that affect presentation, is commercial beer prepared to take over craft beer if the shortages of supplies continue to hit craft breweries and craft brewers?
I don't think so. I think craft is still going to be craft. I think it still has that edge over commercial. I think you may see an increase of pricing, but I think it's not going anywhere.
I mean, the reason that we have so much access to so many different ingredients right now is because of the big beer companies. There's something to say of the fact that they pump millions and millions of dollars into research and development on all these products, and it really is the macro beer scene that drives a lot of the craft beer scene getting the repercussions of all that money and research, and we reap the benefits of a lot of that. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, because of those reasons. And you know what? At the end of the day, if we're all making better beer, hell with it. It's awesome.
Right. Cool. Yeah, they're going to lean on GMO and additives naturally. Just they have to make a lot of damn beer.
Yes.
And it has to taste the same whether it's made on the East Coast or the West Coast or a different country. They want every can you crack to taste the same and be like, yeah, that's Miller Lite. Yeah. So I think it's two different leagues of beer.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing,
and it's not a bad thing. No.
And to touch on like what Adam said is like as much as everybody loves to shit all over the big guys, like I still find it absolutely amazing that Budweiser can produce, I don't know, billions of barrels of beer across the world, and it doesn't matter if I am in Japan or Chicago or in New Jersey or wherever I am, that Budweiser tastes exactly the same.
It's true.
Gives me the same shits the next morning, no matter where I drink it.
Exactly.
Listen, there's a place in this world for fizzy yellow lager, and I love it. I absolutely love them.
And I was going to say, too, so further research here that I did on some GMO components, it's actually easier to manipulate and to use all parts of it. So that's why, like you said, it's two different schools. It's quantity and there's quality. So the quantity side of it has to have consistency. Now, that doesn't mean that
quality side. Quantity side.
I apologize. But so whenever you're having quantity, it has to look the same. It has to taste.
All be the same. No, I know what you're saying. Sorry,
I apologize.
Shut up, Adam.
I'm gonna go back in my hole.
No.
So when you're trying to do that, having GMO components is actually make it easier for you. And I also agree with what you said, Mike, that you're going to have the GMO is going to drive micro because macro is doing the research with all the money and backing. So, there are 2 lanes that you can be in, and it doesn't mean that you can't cross over from time to time. I'll say it here. I've said it a million times. I love Topo Chico hard seltzers. I will drink them till I die. You can take my craft beer card if you'd like to try. I will fight you. I'm not good at it, but I'll bite your nose off.
Listen, I love Guinness. I don't think they use enough fish bladder.
Yeah.
More fish bladder.
That's more fish
I'm going to have it with a fish taco.
So we're going to move into the culture of brewing and craft beer. So Nick Hines of Vine Pair reached out to 14 different brewers across America to ask them what needed to be quote unquote phase out of craft beer. So I took the 3 most divisive opinions here. I want to see how you guys feel about this. So Damian Brown from Bronx Brewery stated that he would like to get rid of collector item IPAs. Beer shouldn't be taken so seriously. People are beginning to tire of the pretentiousness. What's your take on that?
I agree. I mean, craft beer is supposed to be fun. I mean, you're supposed to be drinking with your buddies. I mean, it's not supposed to be like stand in line for 8 hours to go get some IPA. I mean, beer is good, but is it that good? I don't know. It's not gold in it. So yeah, it's supposed to be like more fun and hanging out with your buddies and maybe take it a step down.
Yeah, I guess when it turns into work and you start having to pay mules to stand in line for you to get the next release, it gets a little
pretentious.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess when it comes to that kind of thing, I guess the one I'm not a big fan of breweries kind of making releases and trying to, I guess, hitch on to nostalgia and all these other just pop culture references and things just to crank out like another hazy IPA.
Yeah.
I'm all about those types of themed beers. I think they're awesome. But not to crank out the next hazy IPA or whatever. Just, if you're going to make a beer that's going to have a theme, really theme the beer. You connect to whoever you're trying to connect to or whatever theme you're trying to hit. Put some more thought, more artistic inspiration into it. I mean, you're a craft brewery. That's what it's supposed to be all about. So if you're making a tribute beer or whatever it might be, make it about the person or whatever group you're making it about and cater to them. Don't just use it as another label to slap on to sell another hazy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, don't just replace your Columbus from the last batch with Simcoe this batch and slap a different label.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Lack of creativity.
Yeah, and call it, throw something on it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love IPAs, I agree with this too. And I think in the city of Pittsburgh here, I think the Epidemic did a number on our can lines and our line boys, as we called them.
Literally, there's an app for that came out for can boys waiting in line. Yeah.
So, I think it's definitely still a thing across the nation.
Hey, but demand is good. Listen, if you're that good of a brewer and you have people willing to pay other people to stay in line for you,
more power to you.
more power to you.
But
That's awesome.
To me, I agree. It's
Get bigger and brew more beer.
I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
I'll come into your tap room after the can release is over and try it on draft. And
or beg a buddy, that paid and be like, "Hey, can I get a sip of that when you crack it open?"
You just described Ab and I's relationship.
Yeah. No.
So the next one here from Patrick Byrnes from Ismarada? Am I saying that right? Ismarada?
What is that? Sounds like an island. I want to go there.
Yeah.
They probably have fish tacos.
You're saying that right.
Ismarada Beer Company, he said that beer flights. Beer is meant to be drunk by the pint. A lot of flavors and aromas are lost in small tasting glasses.
Patrick Burns, I want to buy you a fucking beer, man. I agree. I think I agree with that, but I also have a lot of experience in the breweries I'm going to.
Yeah.
So I think for tourists and people coming in from out of town and people getting into craft beer, flights are still an option. But you aren't getting, I agree, you're not getting the same experience. You're not getting everything that beer could be drinking it out of a 5-ounce taster. But if breweries want to do them and they're selling them and it's good for the brewery and it's good for their bottom line, do it. I don't think it's annoying or anything. I just agree. You don't hear that a lot, and I totally agree with Mr. Burns on this one.
So I'm very split on this. So the brewery last wave that I was working at, we did not do flights, and their mentality was behind that it is not the tasting experience that you're supposed to be having. Beer tastes different from the first sip to the last sip, and as it warms up, it gets different profiles. So they were very adamant about that, so they like to steer away from the flights. I do agree in that mentality, but also as a consumer, if I'm going to a brewery for the first time, like, I want a flight. I want to try as many as I can. But I'm probably a more educated consumer, so, like, I can understand that. So it's a battle that I have with flights.
Yeah, if I take off my brewer hat and put on my consumer hat, like if I'm going there as a customer, I enjoy flights. I mean, that's part of what got me into craft beer. Like, I mean, if you were in the craft beer scene 10 years ago, like you went to a brewery, that's what you drank. You drank flights. You picked out. You tried to. Oh, can I run through every beer on the list here? And I want to try each one. And to be honest, I don't want a full pint of your smoothie, marshmallow cheesecake. Whatever else you were going to throw in there.
Getting hungry.
I mean, I don't want a full pint of that. I want to come in, yes, is that going to get me into the brewery? Absolutely. You keep cranking those out. I want to try it, but I don't want 16 ounces of it because I'll die, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I want to get a flight. I want to try one or two, or your 15% barrel aged, whatever with all kinds of adjuncts. Yeah, I want 4 to 5 ounces of that, but that's all that I can handle, and that's all that I want of that. And then I want to go drink your lager, so I want that option as a consumer. I don't want to be forced into buying a full pint of something, because you know what? I'm not going to buy a full pint of those beers, and those beers are those special beers are going to be what gets me in your tap room. Yeah. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess.
I would say too, for me, I think I'm beyond the normal consumer as well of craft beer. So when I go in, it's kind of in the same vein, but I take it a step further. So if I see they have like the crazy 15% barrel aged marshmallow cheesecake, lactose the fuck out, whatever, I'm gonna get it in a flight, and if I like it, then I'm gonna get a pint of it, because I'm a thick man and I like thick beers.
Yes.
But I also agree with, I don't ever want to have a lager in a taster glass, because the lager gets more complex as the temperature rises, and that's what I want to taste, the profiles.
Gotta get your nose up in it.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see the argument for both sides of it. I think they're a necessity. How do you guys feel about half pours then?
I do like half pours. I think it's a great in between, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a full commitment. It's right in the middle. Like, but also, like, to go back to, like, any good brewery will let you taste anything.
Right.
Like, I know they're like only 3 tastes per like, any good brewery, like, they want you to taste things. They're not going to want you to order something they don't like. In the same breath, like, is a sip of beer going to tell you what it's going to taste like? No, but I kind of also mentioned, like, that flight. Like, I do think flights are great for getting somebody in for a flight, and then what do you do after flight? You order your favorite one. Yep. So, like, it does force kind of a consumer to buy a second round.
Yeah. It's all about whatever culture, feeling that brewery wants to create in the tap room too. Like, and I agree. Like, a taster's not going to let you know if you love that beer or not, but it probably will let you know if it's not for you.
If you're going to order it.
So I think that's a good thing to do for your customers.
After 4 ounces of a smoothie milkshake sour, I can tell you that I don't want any more of it.
Right. Blip.
And I don't think your palate's affected on those beers with only 4 or 5 ounces. Those aren't changing much.
No.
Yeah.
So the last one here, coming from John Mansfield from Warhorse Brewing Company, he said he would get rid of the growler. It's inefficient, a poor serving vessel, and doesn't hold well. All hail the growler.
I agree. I agree.
Taking these guys to a dinner together.
Yeah. They sound like 3 guys I would definitely love to talk more to.
I gotta agree too. Growlers. I've never worked in a brew space or in the front of house.
Yeah, they're a bitch to fill.
It seems time consuming to fill.
Yeah.
It's a risk for the brewery to, like, you have to clean them. Like, if you're the tap room, you got to clean that growler. You don't know what was in that before.
Always.
You don't know what they cleaned it with. And that, whatever the customer did to it, could reflect poorly on your beer you're putting into that vessel.
And then they go on tap and say, "I don't like us."
Right. It doesn't hold carbonation as well as a crowler does, and it leaves it open for oxidation more than a crowler does. So I think just every plus, except for if you can get me a 64-ounce crowler, that would be cool.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
But that steamer would be really expensive.
For sure.
So other than just the pure volume of it, everything goes to a crowler over a growler.
And see, like, that goes against my argument. I don't really think I need 64 ounces of any certain beer. Again, if you're splitting it with somebody, absolutely. Yeah. But, like, Do I really need 64 ounces of the same beer in one sitting?
64 ounces of this
This
sounds
deep
really
dive,
good right
I
now.
But in one sitting, like that's a lot of beer in one sitting.
Oh, I'm staying.
Check me out.
But I definitely agree. Like, I don't think a growler is a great vessel for beer. You said it doesn't hold carbonation. I can tell you from the taproom side, they're a bitch to fill. You got to make sure that you do sanitize them. And, I mean, they're always glass, so they always are letting light in. And it just, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're kind of an obsolete vessel at this point. I think they're going the wayside. I think aluminum and crowlers.
So those cool ones with the little tappy things are pretty cool.
The U-kegs. I was just going to ask you if you would change your mind if it was always the U-keg coming in.
I've only had
Can't
like a
afford one.
little bit of experience with them. I can tell you filling them is nicer because they're a little bit of a wider head.
Right.
And they're aluminum, right? So
And
they
they're
fill
aluminum.
better, than the glass.
Well,
I feel like they're
there's
easier to fill.
There's a couple of them that are actually brass. They're super
Okay, or is that what they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you could serve, and they come with like a canister, and you can serve right out of them. So like I've never had like the serving side of it, but they seem maybe better. I don't know what kind of pressure they hold. I guess they hold more pressure because of that.
Yeah. Because you can screw a CO2 canister on top of it.
Right onto it.
Yeah, you take it right out of your paintball gun and put it into your beer
Correct.
system.
Takes
Great,
care of
I
that.
love it.
Takes care of the oxidation.
But like breweries are not selling those, right? Like you get those old school glass.
Yeah. They're cool. They're cool. I like growlers because they're cool to display.
Yeah,
So you give like 100.
they're great as a blow-off tube holder.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
They made a great centerpiece of our
The wedding
at the wedding.
centerpieces.
Yeah. That's what we used ours for.
Yeah.
I think it is something that's going to the wayside here. I mean, there are some companies like the U-Keg. They're trying to reinvigorate it, and it works to a certain degree. It's kind of like a novelty kind of thing, but I think the Crowler is definitely the way.
Yeah, I have a really nice. It's made out of stainless, I think. Drink tank. I mean, they're expensive, but if I fill homebrew off my system, it holds and keeps it cold for like 8 hours or 10 hours, like without refrigeration. Or anything.
Definitely, if you're gonna drink it right away, then it's fantastic. Well, we've put our homebrew and stuff like that, but.
Yeah, to take to a share, to take to a friend's house or whatever.
Yeah, what do we have?
Great.
What do we buy?
But the old school glass ones, I think are totally.
They're really unreliable.
Yeah.
Oh, the
they're
hydro
obsolete.
flasks.
Oh yeah, that's
Little-
it. Hydro flask.
little hydro
Yeah,
flask.
we
Those are
fill
sick,
beer in
yeah.
hydro flasks all the time. Yeah, same thing.
But again, they're only good for like 6 to 8 hours.
Right, yeah. So, we are into round 3 because someone told me that there's a third beer that we are having, and Jesus Christ.
It's a big bottle.
It is. Yeah.
So while you're working on that, I'm going to say again, our guests today are Fifth Season Brewing. If you want to find them on all social media, it's at 5TH Season Brewing on all social media. It's Facebook and Instagram.
There we go.
Oh.
You talk about this one.
Okay. All right. So. Oh, there it is.
I'm
Oh,
great at the
look at
sound.
that.
Oh, she's a
All right,
pro.
so this is from a brewery that I used to work at. And, and all same thing. All I did was work in, front of the house, a beer tender, as they like to call me. So the brewery is called Source Brewing, and they're in Colts Neck, New Jersey. Very close to where Last Wave is, obviously, but completely different style of brewery. They consider themselves a farmhouse brewery. It's in a old... basically, they call New Jersey.
Beautiful location.
Yeah, beautiful location. They built the brewery in a basically a farmhouse from I think it was a dairy farm from the 1890s, and they basically had the entire old building encased. So the brew space is absolutely incredible. It's state of the art.
Tell us about the beer.
Okay, so the beer is what is it? Cinnamon toast? I don't know. I just
Cinnamon
pulled some.
Toast
I'm not gonna lie.
Brunch.
I just pulled what we had out of the fridge and was like, this is gonna be good. And
Cinnamon Toast Brunch. It is an imperial milk stout conditioned on buckwheat. Oh gosh, it's buckwheat, bourbon barrel aged maple syrup, cinnamon, and bourbon vanilla beans.
I
With
want
a
to say
whole
this was their
mouthful.
1-year anniversary release.
It looks like it. It is a fancy ball.
Is this heaven or is it Matt's Instagram? I love this. This is so good.
I'm trying to find. Oh, the ABV is even smaller. 10%. Yeah.
Ooh.
Did you say it was Source Brewing?
Source Brewing, Colts Neck, New Jersey.
Oh, it's velvety.
Wow.
It's good.
Oh yeah.
For as many... Oh, it is sticky on my lips, though. I like it.
Yeah, there's more in there.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to take some of that. I was going to say, so despite the fact that there's a lot of adjunct in it, this thing plays a lot lighter than 10%, has a lot of flavor profiling to it, and I really love the syrupy, mapley.
Cinnamon. That's really good.
Oof.
This beer is probably, close to 2 years old at this
Yeah.
point? So it's definitely been aging. That might have something to do with it, too. So it's definitely aged very well.
Yeah,
Oh, you
if
brought us
if
a
you're-
nice aged beer. You guys are so sweet. Well, cheers to you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you
Cheers.
so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. If you had a magic wand, Matt, and we're like, you can just poof a bottle into existence, it would be pretty close to this.
Right?
Yeah, this is your style all the way.
Wow, yeah, this is me. This is me 1,000%.
Yeah, we tried to bring you guys a nice plethora of some cool styles that we had sitting around.
Delivery. I think I found someone for the front runner for best beers and show when they on the show.
Maybe not best guess, but best beer.
I don't know. Best guess. You might take it as well. Again, the war wages on.
It's all up to the listeners.
So we are in.
Download.
69.
So we're in round 3, and thank you again to Twitter for 1,000 followers. So because of that, I went out there and I said, hey, listen, I have great brewers coming on, so I want to know, what do you all as consumers of craft beer want to ask brewers? Things that you just thought about that you never thought you could ask somebody, but you could do it right now. And the Twitterverse is not short of questions for y'all. So, number 1, what is your quote-unquote secret when it comes to brewing?
Oh, us?
Yes. So, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I say, especially if you want to get into brewing beer. I see a lot of home brewers start out brewing, trying to get, I get the artistic part of it, and you want to be as creative as possible, and you want to brew your first beer, and you have all these great ideas, and you want to put 10 million things into a beer. No, find yourself a nice base style that you want to work with, perfect that, and then start doing your experiments and your adjuncts and all your other things. That's probably a good piece of advice. I don't know. What do you think about that, Adam?
I like that. I like all that advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katrina, what do you got?
I was going to say, I got very lucky because I learned to brew with someone who was brewing for a long time. So, I didn't make any too many major disasters. So, definitely, learn your process. Understand what you're doing so that way when it goes wrong, you know why it went wrong and not just...
I mean, that takes time. Brewing,
definitely.
yeah. I feel like brewing's like baking, right? You can equate it, a lot of people say it's like cooking, but it's really not. It's more like baking, where things have to be precise. And, anybody can bake something good, right? You go to the store, you buy a box, and you follow the directions, and you can produce something good. And you can do that in home brewing. You can go buy a recipe online and follow the directions and make a decent beer. But it's understanding why you're doing those things that you're doing is the difference between, somebody that bakes at home and somebody that owns a bakery and is like a master, that are on all those awesome TV shows that make me hungry. And that's the difference it's the same thing in brewing. Once you can, like I said, you could print out some directions and brew some decent beer, but getting to the root of why you're doing the things you're doing and the steps you're doing is going to really let you be as creative as possible and make the best beer as possible.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So for me, this is coming to me too?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to sound like the old curmudgeon of the group right now.
Of course. That's why I let you go last.
I'm not going to talk about getting your wort to be the most efficient it can be or anything, but maybe the most efficient use of your time. And for me, it's think about what's coming next and start on that while other things are going on. And the best way to be able to do that, I hate to say, is
spend more money.
That always helps, but don't drink during your brew day.
No drinking on brew days.
Yeah. But there's two sides to that sword. If you want it to be a quick brew day, don't drink during the brew day. But if you want it to be fun with your friends and you got help in the room, have a couple.
I think it depends on what brew day you want.
Yeah, it depends on the brew day. That's the I don't care batch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one you just
invite everybody over.
Not a competition beers.
Hey,
no drinking on competition beers.
Yeah, throw the rest of that in there. Who cares?
So to summarize it up,
I have a second one.
Okay.
I have a second one. It's a shameless self-promotion for everybody in this room. Go join your local home brew club and get feedback on your beer.
Yeah.
Around this area, Trash, Trube, Waze if you're in Westmoreland County, Bash, the less popular Bash in the area if you're in Butler County.
But there's also other really small ones that aren't even advertised. For example, Mondays has one, and there's another small one in Washington. So just reach out to your community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And everybody's so nice all the time. I mean, we showed up here in January, or I showed up here in January in Pittsburgh. We're pretty new to the area, and everybody was so welcoming. I mean, Adam kind of ignored me and pretended he didn't know me at the first meeting when I walked in, but after that,
which one's Adam? Crickets.
Yeah, I'm like, is Adam here? I'm looking for Adam.
Dude brought a red ale and already had a red ale. I was like, we don't need any more red ales in this.
Yeah.
I just didn't hear him.
It was very awkward.
He
ignored me
I was like,
completely.
oh, did you say Adam? That's me.
And then I was like, oh, and I got like disappointed.
To his defense, he's been sticking death metal in his ear since he was a baby.
hearing
When he
about
finally
it.
fessed up to who he was, I was like, oh, I thought you'd be taller.
So to summarize it all,
You're not the only person that wishes I was bigger.
Oh, jeez.
episode 69, baby. So
Overrated.
Well, I'm hearing
Can't
you
get this
guys
taste
say-
out of my mouth.
Poor Matt's trying to move on.
So anyway, time, effort, skill, prediction, just knowing your craft, that's the secret. There's no shortcuts. It's learning the craft.
Spend more money is your shortcut.
Yeah.
That's what
But
home
not
brewers.
even. I wouldn't agree with that
No,
statement
I mean
either.
that's
all
what
the time.
homebrewers spend money. You basically spend money as a homebrewer on convenience.
Yeah.
That's really what you're spending money on. Is how short do you want to make your brew? How much shorter do you want to make your brew day? How much easier do you want to make it to move your product from one spot to another? Those types of things. Because when you start out and you buy those buckets in the cheapest brew system possible, everything is manual, and you're lifting everything and you're doing everything by hand. But the more money you spend, the more automated your system becomes.
Doesn't make better.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be better. It's just you're spending money on convenience and ease.
Yeah, there ain't
know?
no shortcuts. I mean, ain't
God,
no shortcuts.
We're
Sorry,
like
69.
yeah, yep. We're what, like $400 deep into tilt hydrometers because all we have to do is just drop them in and it gives you the reading.
Jesus.
You don't have to pull a sample out.
So, question number 2.
Finally.
If I am a commercial beer drinker and I go to a brewery that is heavy with IPAs, and if you listen to our last episode, you should know that these taps are 40% at most or at least, probably more, with IPAs. What should I look for to ease into my time drinking at this particular establishment? What kind of style or what kind of ABV on that IPA or whatever you think it might be would help me, someone who's like a Miller Lite drinker, ease into drinking at your establishment?
Well, I think the first thing to understand about a heavy IPA list is to understand the different IPAs. Most people don't necessarily know that there are 2 to 3 different types of IPAs, right? Yeah. So you have your New England, what we call NEPAs. Found out recently that people don't know what a NEPA is. Welcome to New Jersey, we call them NEPAs, or New England IPAs, right? They're going to be your juice bombs. Your hazies, right? They're going to be your juice bombs, your super citrusy. So like maybe they're on the lighter side. Or, your traditional American, that's going to be like your 60-minute Dogfish. Or you're going to go West Coast, right? And they're going to be your bitter resin. So they're all going to be very different. So, like, when you look at these menus, and they may have 8 different IPAs, but look a little deeper. They may be different.
Sounds like you should order a flight to see what you like better.
There you go.
Mic drop on that. I don't like... Just because there's heavy IPAs, there's probably something else there too.
Of course.
Try a sample of something else. If they have, it's season of the lager around here.
Yeah,
Certainly is.
Get some lagers. That's probably closest to your quote unquote commercial, highly produced beer that you can find everywhere. Try a craft lager in your town.
The first thing you go to a brewery and do is order their Pilsner.
Yeah.
The lager, lightest
That's
style.
the baseline.
That is the baseline.
Let
That
you
is
know what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that in an interview, and they were very impressed. So
Nice. There you go. Pro tip number 3: order the Pilsner. So, what ingredient gives you guys the biggest headache to use?
to use.
Ooh, that's a good one. Probably a new one because you don't know what you're gonna get out of it. I mean, you can gunk up your system with a lot of purees and things like that. That's what you're always trying to avoid because it's just going to make you have to take everything apart and clean everything. So it really comes down to the dirtier, the chunkier, or whatever it may be, ingredient is just a pain in the ass because you're going to end up having to clean and soak and do way more cleaning on it than you would. That's why brewing lighter styles is awesome.
Wonderful.
Also, with home brewing, you've always noticed too, whatever they tell you, you go out and look online, like it's maybe like using jalapenos, right? I don't really know what to use. You go online and they say use X. Well, you really should do 2X, double it, because a lot of times it's never going to be enough flavor for you. Yeah.
That's true. That's what we found out. Yeah, with recipes, if you're researching recipes online, I mean, I've always building a recipe, you whatever you find online, I generally doubled it because whatever you find online isn't enough of what I want.
Right.
Okay. Adam?
With that. I kind of echo what they're saying. The biggest ingredient that gives me a headache is whatever I
Jalapenos, because
have.
it hurts when you pee.
It hurts my hands.
My
and- yeah.
fingies.
No, it's whatever's new. It's just, a new adjunct is the biggest headache every time.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
once you brew a couple beers with it, you get your levels right. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a cop out. There's not one specific adjunct that's worse than any other. Just when it's new.
I mean, anything with an oil.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to hurt you the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, something new is hard to get. That you got to find that balance, and that's the hardest thing. So that first time you're using it, you're like, you're almost kind of playing guesswork. That's where you go online, you look up like 10 different recipes, and you're seeing like, all right, well, where's the what recipe's telling me the most they make? What's telling me the least? Let me try to find a spot somewhere in the middle. Maybe that'll be good. And if I have to add something more, I can go ahead and do that if it's not what I want. But yeah.
So we are shifting into the end of the show. It has been an absolute pleasure to have 5th Season Brewing here on Decaying with the Boys here in the Jojitorium. The beers have been delicious, the company's been great, and the advice has been spectacular.
Thank you.
So before we close out, we have to know what's on tap and where can you find us. And we're going to start off here with 5th Season Brewing. So again, tell everybody where they can find you on your social media. And also, are there any festivals, competitions, or collaborations that are coming up anytime soon? Katrina, take it away.
All right, so like I said, our main social is going to be our Instagram, 5th Season. That is 5TH. There is a Facebook out there. There's not much on there. Don't give us too much crap about that. What's on tap now? Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, so right now on tap we had this, the Baja-bound Mexican lager. We have on tap at the house a table beer that we brewed, 3%. It's like so kind of started out this new little, we're calling it a farm, just kind of a farmhouse table beer, kind of little series of beers that we're doing. So we did a basic table beer to start off with a bunch of wheat and rye in it, and then the next version of that we threw a bunch of blueberries in it. So we're just going to kind of continue that. I think we're going to do a strawberry one real soon, and just kind of whatever's seasonal, and we're using Kvike in it and just kind of throwing it together and throwing a bunch of fruit puree in there, whatever's going to be around at the time, and just letting it roll and see what happens. So those are the 3 beers we have on tap right now.
And then coming up for us is we're going to be serving at HomebrewCon. That is Friday the 24th. We'll be at Club Night.
Yeah, we are brewing the watermelon sour for that one. So
Wonderful.
that salted watermelon
I'm going to
hibiscus
slide
sour.
you $20 if I can have.
Yeah.
You mean donate 20?
Oh, there's more of that coming.
Oh,
And
I can't
then
wait.
we're
all
also
the free stickers you can hand.
and then we're also going to be at the Whiskey Rebellion Festival in Washington. That's going to be Saturday, July 9th. We are going to be brewing a Prohibition lager. So
Yeah.
come on out for that one.
That's going to be coconut and rum-soaked oak chips are going into that one. We're going to be
sounds
outside
amazing.
outside Washington Brewery with a couple other home brewers serving all of our different versions of pre-Prohibition lager with a different spirit in it. Everybody's kind of doing that creatively on their own. The coconut and rum-soaked oak chips is kind of our take on the pre-Prohibition lager for that.
Awesome.
And then we're going to be at the Homebrew Invitation by Brewers in PA. That's going to be held at Hop Farm. I believe we will be serving alongside with Brew Bash there.
We are.
That's Saturday at July 16th.
Watermelon sour is going to be there too, and we are doing a Japanese rice lager for that.
Hey, you have a mission when you're there? Get me beer.
Oh, maybe don't go to the beach, asshole.
Oh, you missing that one?
Carolina!
Nice.
Yes.
Loser.
Oh, missing it.
We'll also be at Barrel and Flow. We're not really sure at what capacity yet. That's August 13th. We will definitely either be at the Trash Table, the Homebrew Cub, or we are looking into potentially having a collab there as well. Then we're going to be at the North Hills Homebrew again. That's August 27th. We don't know what we're serving or anything there. I'm sure Adam will be there at both of those as well.
Yep.
And then lastly, also Bash Brew will be there. We'll be brewing up a cure. It's October 8th.
That will be something very fall seasonal.
Nice.
So we're looking at maybe a apple cider donut kind of beer and probably something else, maybe like just a harvest kind of lager.
Maybe don't go see the leaves change that month, Matt, and come on out.
I won't be a leafer.
You missed the last one.
Right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, leafers.
Leafers,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, they don't come to New Jersey for
They
that.
don't.
They
Yeah,
go
That's
up
not
to
a Jersey thing.
It's like, you guys are close enough to New Jersey.
Massachusetts for that, or New York, or
The
somewhere else.
Poconos, yeah.
Massive huge shits. So, Adam, What is on tap, and where can you find us?
Boy, on tap right now, we got a little bit of the thick flair, the Pink Starburst IPA.
It's delicious.
It was delicious. I
It's
think
kind
I
of a
drank the
dead
rest
style.
of it.
It's kind of a dead style I brought back. It's a milkshake IPA. So there's that. We also have the Kickin' Kitty Mocha Porter on still, and a little bit of the cream ale pouring out of the taps. But we also have that in a tank right now. So actually, by the time you're listening to this, it'll be transferred into a keg, hopefully. So yeah, the cream ale is coming to you all summer long. Hit me up if you want any bottles for the donations to the Ukraine that we talked about on previous episodes, and we'll reiterate in future episodes.
Which is absolutely fantastic, by the way.
And then I'm at almost every event that Katrina just ran down for us, aside from that pre-Prohibition Whiskey Rebellion Fest in Washington. That sounds awesome, but all I had ready to bring to that was a Pink Starburst milkshake IPA, so it didn't really fit the theme.
Adam's going to come drink.
Yeah.
He's going to dress up as a red coat and show up for that.
We'll be at every single one. HomebrewCon at the club night. We will be serving the Thick Flair Pink Starburst milkshake IPA along with our cream ale. And then for the Breweries in PA Home Invitational that we just talked about, we will have the cream ale and what did I just brew today? Pineapple Jalapeno Double Hazy
So
IPA.
excited
Double
for
secret,
that.
triple agent.
It's the Double Secret Agent.
Yeah.
Or
excited.
retired Double Agent.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's all right. So,
That's all.
if you want to know what's going on Fifth Season Brewing, it is at Fifth. That's 5th Season Brewing on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to know what's going on with Adam down here in the Brew Lab, it's at @bash_brewing. All social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do not forget to follow him on tap. And if you want to hear Adam's smooth, sultry voice, he actually just featured on the newest Hop Nation episode talking about HomebrewCon. If you want to know what's going on with the boys down here in the Jojitorium, we are at DWTB on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do not forget to send in your questions, comments, and whatevs to DKNWTB@gmail.com. We just updated our Redbubble where we have new merch where it cuts deeper. Avocado Crypto and Hello, my name is Chavez shirts are available right now, and dad hats are always $19.52. So, from where we are here in the lovely Jojitorium.
Yeah, real quick message, real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the guys that were dumping clips or had weak pullout game. It's your day today on episode 69.
It is.
Happy Daddy Day. Yeah.
I have no kids. My game's been great.
Yeah, it's just this guy for this group
It's
here.
just me. Until next time,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Baby batter.
Jeez, baby.